So intelligence gathering, some people might call this market analysis. And I don't think market analysis is enough, okay? If you're just interested in making money, then probably market analysis is enough. But if you're interested in firing up your passion, creating change, and inspiring people, you need not only market intelligence, you need personal intelligence. You need to go in deep inside and figure out what your passions and where your strengths are. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how to do that. And I'll just put a little story onto that. So I failed all of my biology classes in university and in high school, and now I'm teaching about it. I'm not going to say it's my strongest strength, but the point is that once I found a way to contextualize biology, once I found a way to attach it to my passion, I learned it so quickly, and it just made so much sense, and it tied into so many of the things that I had already learned. And that's why I'm such a big fan of passion-based businesses, passion-based learning. When you tap into that core, things that seemed insurmountable before become easy. And all the barriers just kind of disappear, and you can spend all your energy just charging towards this goal of yours. So number one is, what are your passions and strengths? And for me, my passions and strengths are thermodynamics. So I love understanding how energy moves through a system. I love fluid dynamics. I love how water and fluids move through a system and how a system interacts with those fluids. And I love the nexus between those two and biology, because biology is the ultimate teacher and it's the ultimate engineer, and we can learn so much from it in the way that we go about doing design. And I think that's something that's really missing in the engineering world. It's starting to come in now, but it's still this fringe thing. And so when you get those three things together, you can do really, really exciting things. In addition to working in a passion-based business, so you're going to really love working in a business where you're pursuing your passion. In the last couple of years, especially since having kids, I've really noticed the need to find things in my life, I think some people call it life hacking, where I can put 1 unit of energy in and get 10 out. This has become, like I said, really apparent since I've had kids. Part of that is figuring out where your strengths are. Okay, and so I took this PDC and I came back to Calgary and I started putting in gardens all over the place, gardens and food forests, awesome stuff and really important work. But I'm an engineer. And so even though I think I can make really nice looking designs, I don't have necessarily the artistic skills of an artist. And so my best use of energy is not necessarily directed at gardens and food forests. I've got a ton more horsepower that I can apply in different areas. So in addition to figuring out where your passion is, it's really important to figure out where all your horsepower is too. And then you have to kind of figure out how you're going to apply that. And that's really important because there's kind of two ways of going about finding a business. And one is you can just create a product and then market the heck out of it and hope people buy it. Or number two is you can actually go in and gather intelligence in a way I'm going to talk about in a few seconds, and collect the problems that are not being solved right now, and then hopefully find that intersection point between your passion and your strengths and the problems that need fulfilling. And if you do it properly, business development becomes really, really simple. So my passion, like I said, is thermodynamics, fluid dynamics, and the intersection of biology, and I'm an engineer. Okay, so that kind of describes my passions and my strengths. And so over the last couple of years, I've been thinking, like, how can I really apply that horsepower? And it's not necessarily in the urban system. It's in a slightly larger system. In addition, I really love systems thinking. And so I've been thinking lately that I need to be applying these design tools, this matrix of solutions, which is what I call a permaculture design course, to much larger liabilities, much larger problems. So on the municipal scale, on the corporate scale. I mean, we've got this massive oil and gas industry, which is reaping havoc all over Alberta, and they don't have nearly a fraction of the solutions that we're talking about in this room right now. And so we need to go and get in front of the people that represent these problems, and we need to show them a process-based approach with regards to how we're going to solve them. But if you don't understand what the problems are, you can't go about solving them. So once you figure your strengths out, once you figured out your passions, you can actually start to talk to the people that hold these problems. So for me, I'd be interviewing municipalities, or I'd be interviewing oil companies, or I'd be interviewing any corporation that has, we all have problems. Every company and person has problems. And we're all looking for someone to come to us magically out of the blue and say, oh man, I have this amazing solution for you, and it can do these things. And what do you think about that? And is that a fit for where we're going? And bam, you've got this idea. So what we're doing right now to create this new business that we're starting is we're actually systematically going out and interviewing people. And I ask them all the hard questions. So I'll call somebody and say, so what kind of opportunities do you see within this field? Like really open-ended questions. What kind of barriers do you see within this field? So what's stopping you from getting to those opportunities? And really kind of understanding the framework with regards to how this organization works. And they'll just tell you freely. It's like, oh, we've got this problem, we've got this problem, we've got this problem. And if you're smart, you can even ask the question, what's the solution to that problem worth? Is it a $100,000 problem? Is it a $500,000 problem? Is it a $1 million problem? Bam. Now you've got some context with regards to how you're going to go about making a proposal for these people. And we'll talk a little bit about how to get those jobs. And what's been really interesting about this process is that along the way, I've ended up with a lot of mentors. And they've been amazing people. They've been engineers in their 70s, who are not in the game for money anymore. And they just want to see me succeed. And so they take me out for lunch all the time. I get tons of free food and I got tons of free advice. And then I've got an economist that's working with me right now. And these are all really high-level guys that really get off on permaculture, and they haven't spent any of their time learning about it. And they spent all their time being really good at what they're really good at, and they get really excited about what I'm doing. And then they see all of these opportunities that I can't see, and they know things that, what's that saying that Darren Doherty has? You don't know what you don't know, or you don't know what you need to know. And one of the amazing things about having mentors and coaches is that they can open your eyes to things that are not even on your radar and can end up saving you tons and tons of money and time down the road. And time is the ultimate commodity. So it's really good to get mentors, even if you have an established business. One of my friends, Elise Watson, has a group of people. It's called a Board of Excellence. And so she's got lawyers and all sorts of people on there that help direct her in her business and help her to see things that she can't see. So the sweet spot here is trying to collect those problems, trying to understand where your strengths and passions are, and look at the intersection. And you're probably going to come up with more opportunity than you can manage. You're going to see more things that you can go and solve with your little tool belt of solutions than you can go out and solve. And so what we need to do next is we actually have to distill these opportunities down to make sure that we're picking the right option. And that's really important. So just a couple photos here. Michelle and I traveled, like I said, to Australia. One of the great things about traveling around the world and coming to conferences like this is it's an amazing place to gather intelligence. I actually think the price tag on this conference was actually too cheap, because if you're doing your job properly and you're talking to the right types of people at this conference, you're going to get all sorts of business models. And the beautiful thing is people are coming from all over the world here. And so we're really not going to be stepping on each other's toes by sharing our information with each other. All we're doing is supporting each other so that we can go out and create really successful enterprises and proliferate this idea around the globe and ultimately do what we've set out to do, which is earth repair. So we have this relationship with Nick and Kirsten from Milkwood Permaculture. They've been absolutely amazing. They run a very similar business to us. They let us touch their business and work on their farm. We spent a ton of time with Jeff Lawton and Nadia. And we hit as many farms as we could in Australia while we were there, and we saw as many different permaculture businesses and renewable energy businesses as we could, and we asked them as many of the hard questions as we possibly could. Cost us a ton of money to do it, but ultimately, it's more than paid for itself in relationships and with ideas and opportunities that we don't even have time to get access to. So one of the great things that I get to do in my job is I get to fire out, like my PDC is basically green entrepreneurial ideas with a bit of permaculture. There's a lot of permaculture in it, but I love coming up with niches that people can gain access to through that PDC lens. So we spent time at eco-villages. We drank quite a bit of beer at Oktoberfest. That was an awesome intelligence gathering situation. We got to climb up in those monster turbines, and overall, we just had amazing experiences. It really rounded out our engineering degree, if you will.